Hey guys, and welcome back to Conversations with my big sister. As you guys know, my name is Linda Sefomba. Today I have Bianca and Sbongile in full. They are here today just to have a beautiful and honest conversation with us. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere. See you guys soon. Welcome back, guys. So, Bianca, I want to speak on the topic of skin, and just, the idea of skin. And it's for the both of you guys, just to speak around the topic of skin and the acne and the color of skin, and just to dabble in terms of conversation about that. But before we get into that, I'd like for us to just take a journey in terms of your life, just to better understand who you two ladies are, where you guys come from, where were you born. So I think maybe if we can just start with, where do you guys come from, where were you born, and who raised you?
So my name is Bianca. I was born in Namibia to Kenyan parents, and I grew up here in South Africa. So my background is quite diverse. It's always very difficult. It's never a concise answer that I can give in terms of like my background and like where I'm from. And it's when someone's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Do you mean where do I live, or where did I grow up, or where was I born, or where are my parents from?"
I think maybe where were you born, and then where did you go, and then.
So it's like it's a lot,
So
but I call South Africa home. And my parents are from Kenya, as I mentioned, so we do go to Kenya quite often, and I see some of my relatives that are there. And yeah, I was raised by my parents, both my parents, and we first started off in Namibia, obviously, and I was there until the age of 2. So I don't remember much about it. I haven't been back. Like, I really want to make a plan to go back. From there, we moved to Durban. And I think we were there for about 4 years, and after that we moved to Joburg. So Joburg is home. Yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I was actually going to interject there and say, girl, you're a daughter of the soil. You're an African love child. I'm Sbongile, from the Eastern Cape, from the Mkilbo family. Basically, my grandfather was a priest. My dad was raised in a small township there near Bisho, Zwelicha. My mom is from Fort Beaufort, and I think they both met in Hilltown. Education was huge for the Xhosas back then, so everybody that went to school went to Hilltown or Alice, because that's where Forte is. I was raised by very educated people. People were very conscious about, being educated, because that's a very, very important thing from where I come from. And, taught to respect myself, taught to respect my elders. I grew up at Bisho. That's where my mom and dad lived together in a house. Went to school in East London and King Williamstown. So all of these are in close proximity. I didn't move around a lot, so our family was always together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Sorry.
Gosh.
So we have a mic today, guys, so just bear with us, eh? Just bear. It's just gonna be moving as a wand around there, you understand? Okay, cool. So just take me through the journey of when you then got into primary school, with you, Bianca, having to have been a person of color that is dark. And did you go to a predominantly white school? Okay, so tell me about that. Tell me about, being, a woman of color there. How was your journey? How did it affect you? How were you emotionally, having to grow up in that kind of environment?
So yes, I did grow up in a predominantly white school. So a lot of my influences naturally come from that. But I think, the one school I joined was called St. Mary's when I was 8 years old. And I think that's where I really started realizing some sort of difference, or that, we're the same, but we're not the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? When everyone's like, no, you're the same, but no, you're not,
really.
And
what are the things that made you realize? Like, what were the instances where that thought came?
Yeah, there was one in particular. I was in grade 2. I'll never forget it. And we all had to do like we had to draw a family picture. I mean, you do that in most schools. And I remember I was coloring in my skin, and obviously I colored myself in brown because, I mean, I have brown skin. And I remember my best friend at the time was like, oh, but why aren't you using the peach color? Why are you using brown?
And it's crazy. We used to call that color skin color.
Yeah,
and
skin
it was
color. And I was just like, I was like, I don't know. I literally said, I was like, because this is my skin. And she was like, and then she was like, no, you're supposed to use skin color. And I was like,
and she was adamant,
like, but why so it was very, very confusing. And that only really made sense to me like much later. I think at the time I was just like, what? And then I just continued like coloring myself in. So that was the one like major one from when I joined the school. That was the first instant where I was like, whoa, okay, this is strange. Okay, maybe we're not all the same type of thing, because I'm like, in the same breath when I say we aren't all the same, even though we are, I'm not a person really that sees color, to be honest. I don't judge someone first on the color of their skin. I don't do that. So I think, when all these small things started happening, it was kind of like, whoa, or for example, we'd all go to someone's house and it's like a white girl's house and everyone is white except me, and we all swimming, and then it's kind of like, I'm the only one putting cream on at the end, and everyone's like,
because you're gonna get ashy.
I was like, why are you putting? And I'm like, like, this is what my mom said, that like when I'm done swimming I need to put cream on, and and I remember like it happened so many times that they would ask me like, why am I doing this thing, and then I just like stopped doing it, and there's little old me like burnt from the sun. I'm like ashy. Like, I remember my mom fetched me from my friend's house the one day and she was like, never again. Like, we had this whole, like, it was really bad. She reprimanded me. She's like, never again. Make sure, make sure you cream yourself and you look after. I'm like, no, but all my other friends aren't doing that. So, like, and they're fine, So it was a lot of very confusing things. As a 7 or 8 year old, it's like, I don't understand.
Make sense,
So, there was just a lot of that in primary school, and then senior primary, still the same, just on a high level. Like, for example, we're all getting ready to go to a social, and like we're all putting makeup on, but it's like makeup for black people versus makeup for white people now. And now I'm sitting here with like thick silver eyeshadow, looking like a clown, like I look crazy, but like I don't see that it's weird, because I remember my friend at the time was like, come, like I want to do your makeup, and I was like, cool, sure. And like I thought I looked good. I looked in the mirror, but like it was pretty obvious, like, girl, like, no, it's not working. Foundation is so light, like it was so bad, but I didn't see it because I didn't understand. So it was a lot of like just not understanding, or not having someone to look up to be like, oh, that's how you do it, or very, very confusing. And then when I went into high school, it was, so now a lot more black girls joined the school. So I was like, this is nice. Like, okay, cool. So there was more of us and it felt a bit better. But in the same breath, I still felt excluded in many ways, because now it wasn't so much a thing of skin color. It was a thing of, okay, you grew up in South Africa, but you're not South African, So in high school, that was the main thing. It wasn't so much about, oh, I'm black or I've got dark skin. It was kind of like, okay, but you're trying to be white because of how you speak, but but you're black. But so it was very, very weird. To be honest, I never ever felt like I fit in anywhere. It was kind of like I was accepted more by
the people,
by white people. Because I was like, oh, cool, like more black people, this is so awesome. And then I try and be a part of it, and it's kind of like, oh no, girl,
it's
like
closed off to you.
Very much so. And it was kind of like, oh, sorry, you don't understand Zulu, you don't understand, so sorry, you can't sit with us type of thing, So that was also confusing. But now you know, I'll be sitting with white people. It's like, but why are you sitting with the white people? It's like, because when I try and come and sit with you guys, it's a problem. So it was tough. I won't lie. It was very, very tough. Very confusing. Especially, I remember I was in grade 9 when the xenophobia attack started, and it was scary, you know. I didn't have anyone that could relate at all. I was like, shucks, like if our school is attacked next, like what's gonna happen to me? I'm the only one who's not from here, and everyone else who isn't from here is white, you know. Like there were some French girls who weren't from South Africa, but they were white. So
and also growing up here, like I feel like you've grown up in South Africa for such a long time. For you, in that moment, you felt like your home was no longer your home. Like your emotions felt that way.
So it was. I was just always confused. You know, I didn't know where I belonged. Like it was just like I felt like I was floating all the time. Like I didn't really have that, you know, ground to be like, you know what I mean. This is where I'm from, and it was very difficult to even be able to claim like, oh no, but I'm from here. Like I grew up here, so I feel like I'm from here. But then it's like, oh, but you can't do this, and you don't speak this, and you don't, you know what I mean. So it was very, very difficult. But yeah, that was pretty much primary all the way through to high school for me. Yeah.
So after the break, I'd love to just find out from Sbongile as well, just your journey through primary, through high school, and with your skin tone, and you know, where did you go in terms of schooling, and how did that environment, you know, if you can just explain in those moments and in those instances, how did that make you feel, you know, not in hindsight, but you know, when you were, you know, during in those, you know, moments, you know, you were experiencing that. So see you guys in a couple of seconds. So welcome back, guys, to Conversations with My Big Sister. I am here with Bianca and Sbongile. So we're going to shoot straight to Sbongile just to take us through your primary school years, high school, just your schooling as when you were younger.
So you asked Bianca about, you know, when she realized she was different, you know, in going to Model C schools and being integrated with white people. I think for me and my family, I think I was always conscious, you know, like I feel like my father, you know, he used to make us dance to songs Zumzabalazo. It was fun for him, and it, you know, there were no white people in our neighborhood of Bisho. It's majority black people. The first creche I went to was black people. My first language is Xhosa. I never spoke a word of English for like a couple of years. I literally had to learn English over time, and it was a difficult thing for me. But I remember being so conscious of my blackness and just being so afraid of white people. And I don't know where that fear stemmed from, but I was like, because they just looked scary. I don't know. They did, because they were so different, and they had different hair. And I don't know if it was the way that apartheid had affected our parents and their mindset. There was almost a sense of, you know, inferiority when it came to white people. And they seemed so snooty and up there. I mean, when you switched on TV, you know, you saw like Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, and they were the picture of success in the world out there, and it was really scary and daunting, because like, first of all, I can't even speak that language. And I remember the first time they told me that I'm going to go to a white school. They're going to send me to a
and when
white
was
creche.
this? When was this in? Oh, a creche.
A creche.
Okay.
So I had to go from a black creche to a white creche. That was a bit tough for me, because I still did not know English, probably up until the age of 4.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I knew, black people. And I remember saying, and they always remind me, and they always laugh about it, about how I used to cry and say, "Anfuni abalungwini mna, anfuni abalungwini," meaning I don't want to go to the white people. I don't want to go work with them. I don't want to go to school with them. I just don't want to be around them. I was genuinely afraid. I was genuinely scared, because I just didn't know what to expect. And, you know, I didn't know the Rainbow Nation as we know it. You know, my reality was black people. And at home, we grew up as light-skinned people. So I never saw my light-skinnedness, because my mother's half-colored. Her dad is colored, and her mother is just super light skinned. So I always hear that we're mixed. But for me, I was like, okay, I don't know anything about that. My mom's black, my dad's black, so I guess that makes me black.
Yeah.
So I could never think about being mixed. I could never think about being, different from the people that were around me, because we all spoke the same language. We had the same krus hair. Like, my hair gave me trouble. Like, I was, in essence, seriously black. So it was, for me, it was a difficult integration, because when I saw white people, when I was amongst white people, culturally they were so different to me. How they ate was so different to me. At home we taught to eat with our mouths closed, and white people, I always used to see white kids just chewing like this.
So true. Oh my god.
And I'm like, if I was at home, somebody would like smack me, I'm being weird. So it was a culture shock, and for a while I think I was separated, and I felt like I just couldn't integrate for a while.
So separated from what you know.
Separated from what I know, and separated also in the school environment. Like, I could not relate. I could not play with other white kids, and so I think, as Bianca was mentioning, how other black kids,
when they came,
exactly, they
were disregarded.
they always gravitated to each other. But I think because we had, commonality, we understood each other. It's like we had a common understanding of who we are, where we come from, what our parents have been through. And it's almost like also the white kids had that understanding with themselves, that culturally we understand each other.
And subconsciously, it wasn't even, I don't think it was like a conscious thing that you guys gravitated towards each other, because I mean, at that age you weren't conscious enough to know that, okay, you're black, I'm going to be with you, you're white, I think subconsciously, because of what you said, you felt yourselves drawn to each other in a very subconscious, in that time period of your life.
Yeah, for sure. And because I was very scared of white people. It took me a while. Like, this carried on literally up until grade 1, and of course I went to a white school. I moved with my father to Stutterheim. He was teaching at a secondary high school in the township there, and I went to the school in town. And that's where I went to grade 1, and I was very, very poor in English. To this day, I have no idea how I passed grade 1, because I remember understanding dololo. I feel like I was wrong. It was a very interesting time, because for the first time it was like, now I was starting to play with white kids more, and I kind of looked at them with envy, because I was starting to notice things about them that I didn't have.
What was that?
Like their hair. I think that
Sorry to interrupt, but me too, girl.
that's like I think that was almost the number one envy of every little black child. I mean,
we used to play with their hair.
Exactly.
Every single time. There we are braiding.
So true. Oh my gosh, yes.
Nicole, can I sit behind you so that I can like play with your hair? Yeah, sure, Lens.
And it was such a privilege when they would ask you to scratch their back and play with their hair, because
we would
oh my gosh,
so true.
this
guys.
is playtime.
Very,
This
very
is
true.
my dream.
God.
Like, I swear I used to pray to God, and for long white hair, and that's
so
all I
true,
wanted. And for I think a while, for many years, I just could not identify with my blackness anymore. I felt like it was stripped from me
That is so deep.
gradually. Because I couldn't speak English, and because I was really awful at it, at school they would encourage us to speak English at home. So slowly my African language, my home language, was being taken right out of the home. It was being taken away from me. And you find now, like years later, it's impacted my whole life. I mean, we'll be at home and we're both closer speaking English. We can speak our like native language, but we speak English. We think in English. When you think about praying, you want to pray in English. English is what you know. The white way of life is what you've become so accustomed to, and it's become our norm, and what you're most comfortable, doing, and speaking and being.
Sure.
So I think that's when I started asking God some deep questions, because I was like, I don't understand then why I'm black if our lives are so much harder. Because we could always see that the white people's lunch is like way more delicious. I mean, for us, we probably get 2 slices of brown bread, butter, and peanut butter.
And then we get like isigzo with, and when you close your bottle, you put a plastic first, and then you close it there so that it doesn't leak.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, my lunch looked like poverty. And white people had snacks and fun things in their lunch boxes. And I was like,
gosh, they had like that cheese thing. What was
Melrose.
it? Melrose.
Oh my gosh.
And they
Mom,
drink
remember
milk,
Melrose?
like,
That's
oh,
all
life
I
is
remember.
great
Like,
for them.
white people in adverts
Chocolate
were having so much
milk.
fun.
Yeah, they really were.
So bad.
First you twist it, then you dunk. I mean,
Yeah,
those
you
were
lick
the
it,
things.
then you dunk it. I was like, yo, I have to be white. That's my goal in life.
All we do is dunk bread in like water, sugar water.
Tea. Yo, sugar water is such a treat.
Sugar star shot. It's the way to go.
So, I mean, growing up, those are the things that we were confronted with. I remember a time in a primary school. So I went to a girls' school from grade 2 on in East London. And I remember, you know, we were struggling at home, and, you know, mom didn't have a lot of money, and dad was not very, very supportive, and they had separated at the time. And, you know, we'd go through some really tough times, you know, financially. And, you know, there were times when mom would tell me that, dude, I used to go home after deductions with 79 Rand. Imagine that. Even in the 90s, that was nothing. That was nothing in the 20s. Like, that's how bad it was. You know, some of our parents were drowning in debt. You know, that's what's real for my parents' generation. They knew how to have credit cards, and the deductions were with more than they were earning. And the struggle was real. I mean, we even lost our car at some point. And, you know, I remember even my school shoes, they, you know, Pela on my feet, they would literally, I'd have holes in my school shoes because my mom couldn't afford to buy us new school shoes. So there was this that inferiority complex was just increasing, and the gap and the divide between where I felt like, or where I saw myself, you know, being poor and, you know, and privilege of the white people, that gap seemed to widen over the years. And I mean, there were so many of us black girls with relaxed hair, because, you know, at school now they were making ridiculous rules about how you're not allowed to have an afro, your hair must be neat, because they only understood what white hair must do, not what black hair can do and what it looks like. And so for us, it was like, dude, we gotta have straight hair. And by the way, when your hair is relaxed, it's way more manageable. But I mean, we couldn't relax our hair every month, nor could we do treatments, because those treatments were so expensive for our parents. And so you'd always have this black girl with bushy hair, half relaxed, half
moisturizer floating on the ends.
You know, that glisten in the sun, like that kind of grease where if you lean back on something, you'll leave your mark.
It's late. It's late for the collar of your shirt.
It's just so late. It was really... Those were the tough times. And I mean, your hair would be orange, sun-bleached.
Babes.
On the edges, just like the true symbol of poverty. Like, yo. And you have cracked lips just to complete the picture. So... I mean, you'd always look at white people and think, whoa, I'm so black. Like, I am not a part of these people. Again, that reality of the white people sticking together, they always did, because firstly, they could also afford, they were hanging out at their extramurals that their parents could afford to pay for. They had common interests, you know, they mixed with the boys from the boys' school. It was just the areas they grow up, they grow up in, and the people they hang around in, the things that their parents integrate them in, that kind of separated us further. All the white kids would play hockey, swimming, and maybe cross country, and all the affluent sports. And all the black kids were like, well, at least we can afford a skirt. Let's go play netball. The ball's free. So again, we were so divided. When coming to being conscious about my skin tone, it became like a topic amongst the black kids. You know, as much as, you know, at home, I thought I was the darkest. You know, at school it was like, dude, you are so light. Like I'm still getting used to people commenting about my skin tone, because for me it was like, dude, if I could just be brown, I would love to be brown, because I was just like, I identify so much with these people. If I can just entrench my blackness even more, and you know, and that be my true identity, I want to be a part of that. You know, I want that. And so I remember suntanning. Like, I decided that I was going to suntan.
I did the same thing, but I burned.
That's what happened to me. In 2004,
as well.
2004, it was like around New Year's time, and you know, everybody goes to the beach, and you know, you grab a spot and you're there the whole day and you have fun. And I was like, this is the day I am going to turn brown. I am going to be truly black. Because in school, people always were like, you know what, you are just too light, like, get away. So it was almost the same experience as Bianca, just being a light-skinned girl, you know, in an environment where all the black girls wanted to stick together. I was like, you're a bit too different. And we're just not sure. Why are you so light? And like, why is it a problem? Why is it a problem that I'm light-skinned? And so
Sorry.
Oh.
So if Clive does that, just like, I'll notice it, and then I'll seal the deal.
Clivey.
I was also like, gee, what's happening?
So don't pay attention to him. Like, just I'll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the next time he
it's
does
for you.
this, it's for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I decided this is the day I was going to be brown. I got so badly sunburned. I don't even know at which point in the day or how long I was in the sun for. It wasn't even just that little burn where your nose peels and you have like a little red patch.
Things were bad.
Things were bad. I could not cover myself with blankets. No one could touch me. Wearing clothes was torture. Like, the skin was swollen. I was like thoroughly red. I was like, somebody boiled me. I was so raw. And that's when I realized that I was actually a little bit white. I was like, perhaps you're a mlungu. Think about that. People's sun-kissed don't burn like this. They do not suffer like you just did. I remember my mom had to go to the chemist and like get medicines for my skin, and it took me a while. I was peeling the whole of summer. It was awful. I was like gray. I didn't even go brown. I went gray. That was so traumatic.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, fine. I'll accept myself. So at the time we were living in a place in East London called Quickney, and there was a lot of colored people. So I was like, maybe I'm colored. Maybe I'm colored. And so I slowly started like rejecting my blackness.
I'm so sorry, guys. Because we have a mic, I can't just ingest. Now I have to like do a young hand gesture, which is so uncomfortable. But anyway, see you guys in a couple of seconds. I'd love for you to delve deeper into that, into you having to identify with the colored and having to feel like that's actually who you are. So see you guys soon. Bye. Welcome back to Conversation. So Sbongile, you were just about to delve into having to identify with the colored and, you know, how that affected you.
So, I mean, these people had the same skin tone as me. Not exactly the same hair, but I was like, okay, maybe I'll try fit in right here. This is where I can start. Maybe, like, you know, I can find my group of folks. And I mean, at that time, I think I was starting to actually really learn about my mom's true background and who her father was. And she didn't quite have a relationship with her dad. He was kind of like just a baby daddy. But even, you know, my mom had the same experience growing up. You know, she was super white in the rural areas. I mean, she came, like, my mom's mom was pretty light, and, you know, they come from some kind of Asian background mixed with black. I don't know how true any of this is. My mom cannot give me straight facts. But I know there's something going on there.
Are like to the top.
Yeah. So That's why I have Bruce Lee legs.
Oh yes, you have amazing legs, too,
Like-
by the way.
It's from my Chinese ancestors, just so you know, if it's true. Yeah, and they were just so fun, and they were so welcoming, and just the community in itself was very, very integrated. It was mostly poor whites, coloreds, blacks, and just apartments. So everybody was like sort of like equal. And I remember like my first fake boyfriend was colored, Sergio. He lived in the apartment block like this across the street, like a few houses away. And I remember I wrote him a letter, but it was supposed to be anonymous. And the little boy who delivered the letter kind of like told him the whole story about who wrote you the letter. It was like a day. And then next thing, Sergio writes me a letter back with pictures and everything, asking me out. I was like, hell no, I'm not ready. I'm too young. I never responded.
How old were you at this point?
I must have been like 11 or 12. About 11, I think. But because it was a day, and because I was like, I don't think Sergio would like me because I'm black. Because I still had that thing.
Yeah. That's true.
So I was like super scared because I was like, I think Sergio's in high school and I'm not sure what I've gotten myself into.
Wow.
And so like I started to slowly see myself a bit different, and because now like these people kind of like have accepted me,
Do you think because of that you were starting to accept yourself more? Do you think the rejection of our black people back where you left them back home, and you coming into this new environment where people look more like you, did you think that then gave you a feeling of more confidence and more security within yourself because you could see yourself through them?
Not really. And I think that would be far from it, because I couldn't identify with my true self. Even at that point I was like, I gotta have straighter hair, because I don't have the good hair. I'm not colored enough. I'm still not good enough. I'm still not there. My nose is not sharp enough. My face, my body, my structure is not Caucasian enough. It's not colored enough. So there was never a space where I was good enough to fit in these other communities, whereas I could just accept that I'm a black girl. I'm meant to be curvy. I'm meant to have curly, kinky hair. My nose is fine the way it is. It should be round because you're black. You have a spongo, forehead. Embrace it. You're beautiful the way you are. So I felt like I need to try harder to be different, to fit in. And for the next couple of years, I put my hair through hell. I remember there was a trend where black girls now, after going to the salon, you didn't have to have that like bone straight hair that kind of sticks out, because like that relaxed hair that doesn't move.
Yes.
And it
The styling gel.
It just dark and lovely. Oil moisturizer.
Yeah.
And that's it's like a cat licked your hair, and the hair just stayed like that. Ooh, fresh hair. Now they were like blow drying the hair and had movement and it had body, and oh my god, we felt like we've made it. We're part of the world. Our hair is nice also, but maybe it won't grow to our shoulders.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't even grow to a back length, but it's okay. It moves now. Now we're like,
we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting closer. There's progress. We're getting closer to the goal. We're getting whiter, becoming more colored. It's great. I think in the end, it taught us to segregate ourselves. To discriminate our blackness. I think, as great as it was to be integrated into these white schools and to go to school with everybody, and we were so privileged. We can't take away from the fact that we were privileged to get that education and to be a part of what South Africa, was becoming as a rainbow nation, as an integrated nation. But it really did strip our identity as black people away, our consciousness. And I feel like even after all these years, it's something that we're still working on. And even with the rise of Black consciousness in the most recent years, for me, I think the greatest breakthrough in the past couple of years was when the ethnic or natural hair movement started. And I think that really got the ball started and the ball rolling on Black people identifying themselves as Black and being proud and being okay with being different and really embracing that and thinking and looking at that as our honor, as our crown, as our differentiator, as what makes us special as a people, as a nation. And I think it's really united us all in the greater scheme, like not just South Africans, I think people from beyond the borders, of South Africa and the greater Africa.
So before we get to that part of your consciousness of being aware of your Blackness and actually embracing it, I'd like for us to just continue the journey first before getting to your where you've now, identified yourself and now you know your identity and you know who you are, as a person. And I mean, coming to you, Bianca, then you moved into, high school and then getting into university. Did anything change, in terms of your skin? We could speak about the condition of your skin. Did you then, things of acne and as well with your color? Did you feel the acceptance, the, rejection? Can you take us, through that journey, your personal journey then?
So, no, I still didn't feel the acceptance. And I think just as a teenager, like, it's still confusing, So I matriculated and I didn't know what I wanted to study. I wasn't that student that knew, cool, I want to be a doctor, and I'm going like,
people are so blessed to know.
Gosh, I was like, I wish, I used to pray so much for that, and it wasn't like that for me. So there was also that stress now of like, all my friends are going to UCT and going to, VITS and going overseas, and I'm just like, I'm not too sure what I want to study, My main passion at the time was netball. And I mean, I was playing for a very long time. I was playing provincially and I got a scholarship. So I ended up using my scholarship and studying at UJ. But it was so general. Because still, I didn't know what I wanted to study. So I did a general BA and it was miserable. It was the worst year ever. I won't lie to you. Because again, now I'm dealing with not fitting in because of my skin color and because I'm Black and all of these different things. But now I was also dealing with not fitting in because I didn't know what I wanted in life.
Sure.
It's so important to know what you want and what direction you're trying to go in. Otherwise, you sort of still, like I said earlier, floating, So I still felt like, oh my gosh, when am I going to find that thing that's going to make me feel like, okay, here, this is me, here I am, So, I still dealt a lot with just feeling, I think all the years from primary into high school really, really destroyed me because I was never able to look at myself in the mirror and feel like, wow, you're beautiful or you're worth something. Honestly, my self-esteem was in the ground. I was so low, you know what I mean? But I would sort of mask all of that with a smile and with cracking jokes.
And what do you think contributed to that, to feeling that way?
I think a lot of it was just feeling like an outcast all the time. And I don't think, this is a topic for another day. It isn't only my skin color, it's just how I am in general.
And you can delve into it. It is still a topic of today.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm not someone who really, I don't go follow the norm. I'm different. Many people might call me weird, but I just don't, I don't feel like I'm a follower, and I think some people don't relate to that, you know what I mean? I've sometimes even now I feel like I don't really relate to people my age at all because I'm not always really doing what most people my age do. So, I'm not someone that forces things as well. If a conversation feels difficult or it's not flowing, I'm sort of oh, okay, and I leave it, I don't force things. But anyways, the whole skin color thing, coming back to that, it was just like all the years of like, just I felt ugly, to be honest. Like, I felt like my skin color was wrong. I felt like being black was wrong. I felt like being dark was wrong. I didn't know how to take care of my skin as well. Like, I stopped moisturizing, as I said, like, and we need to moisturize, you know. I was doing all sorts of things, bleaching my skin, also in the sun as well, because I was like, okay, everyone's tanning, like, let me tan, but it's not really working for me because I'm dark. You know, it was just very, very confusing. I think just all the years of that got me to this point where I just felt really broken. And there was a time, I don't know if you guys remember, but on Facebook there was this thing called Honesty Box. It was years ago. And basically how it works is someone could write in your honesty box, and it was all anonymous. So they could say whatever they wanted to say about you, and it would come up pink if it was from a girl and blue if it was from a guy. And that really traumatized me. That was in like grade 9, I think. And same time as the xenophobia attacks, I was just getting a lot of hate, and it was only from guys. So that messed up with my self-confidence as well, you know, because I felt like, shucks, okay.
In order for me to be like attractive
like,
enough, I need
okay,
to
I don't know, I don't know what to be like, you know. It's like, oh no, you're so dark, or go back to Kenya, or all sorts of things, you know. So that really, really damaged me, because I felt, again, like I didn't fit in. I felt ugly. I felt like, okay, how do I become lighter? But even still, I still won't really fit in, because I don't really feel like I belong in the country, but I grew up here. It was just very, very confusing. And anyways, to sum all of that up, it was very random, but I decided to join a modeling agency. And I think that's where like everything changed. Like, when I joined, I was still very, very low, very insecure, just like, what am I even doing? Like, what am I trying here, you know? And a lot of people they weren't supportive. You know, it's kind of like, oh, but you think I'm like, no, guys, I don't think I'm like amazing and beautiful. I'm really just trying to do something because, I don't know, let me just see where this takes me. I was always too afraid to try things, because I always felt like I'd be judged, or like
people were shutting you
down. You know, it was difficult. And ever since, like, after like booking a few jobs and stuff, I started getting complimented on my skin, and I was kind of like, I don't know how to take it. I'd be like, oh thanks, and kind of like, you know, and just move on. Like, I never knew how to embrace the compliment, because I didn't see it as
a long time as well.
Yeah, it's
you
like,
were convinced that
like,
having the skin
was
like
ugly.
wrong,
you know. And it's like, that started happening a lot, and I think that's when the change happened. And I was like, okay, and I started reflecting, and I was like, okay, cool, so maybe you're not so bad, like, maybe, you know. And slowly it started happening where my self-confidence came, and I just grew as a person, as a woman, as a black being, you know. I started coming into my own, but it took a long time. Like, that was 2011 when these things started happening. And I think I only really came into my own like maybe 2 years ago, like properly. And still now, I'm still like, I have my moments, you know, but I remember like just my journey and what I've been through and stuff, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think right now it doesn't bother me at all. It's just like when I, like now when I have to talk about it, I'm like, shucks, like I went through that, you know. I went through years of looking in the mirror and like crying, because I feel like I can't relate to this person that I see. I don't know how to carry myself. I don't know how to act, like, you know. And I was always described as a shy person, but I don't think I was shy. I think I was just extremely insecure. And I was always too scared to speak up or to say my opinion, because it was kind of like, it felt like it would be wrong because of my skin color. I don't know how that happened in my head. I don't know how that, like,
I get that.
It's weird, like, to explain, but I really do think that's what happened. It just took everything down. Like, it took my voice away completely, you know. I didn't have a backbone. I was always like following all the time, you know. And but I do think it was necessary for me to go through that, because now I'm the complete opposite. Now I'm like, no, I don't feel like going out, and yeah,
Deal
with it, you know? Exactly. Like before, I'd be like, oh no, so and so is gonna be so upset that I don't want to, you know what I mean? But now I'm kind of like, no, guys, like it goes deeper, like it goes so deep, because it's like I finally realized that like I also have a voice, also have an opinion. I can also say if I don't like something, you know. I really got to a point where I was just like, oh, let me just try please these people so I can fit in, or please this person so they may think I'm like less dark, or you know, it was really quite messed up if I think about it now. But yeah, that's I think that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. I get that, and it's like those kinds of thoughts are thoughts that you have, but like you don't really address them. Like you don't actually really like recognize them as issues or things. They're things that you think about, and then they get trapped in your subconscious, and they don't come to your conscious, and you don't even start to have conscious conversations about those kinds of, you know, they're very traumatic. If you actually think about it, it's so like psychological and so in depth, and it really alters your identity and who you are as a person. I'll see you guys in a couple of seconds. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Conversations with My Big Sister. I think the one topic that I really, really, you know, want to talk about is acne. And dealing with acne. And you know, while we were away on break, you wanted to say something that was very, very important about that. But before you speak about that quote, I'd like for you to speak about your journey with acne and how it affected you, and when did it start for you?
So I just want to start about, you know, like by speaking about my family, right? So I think for me and my family, acne is hereditary. My father always had like skin problems with his skin on his back. Most of my aunts have had like, you know, serious acne scarring. So for me, that just tells a history of like really bad, of a really bad acne history on my father's side of the family. My mom had beautiful skin as a young woman, and I've always had problems with the skin on my back. So even from when I was still a young girl, I would always have like a fungal infection on my back, or something was weird with my skin on my back, and that really did take a shot at my confidence. So I just grew up knowing that no, I don't want to show my back. I can't wear a tank top, and it's still a thing that really like hits me up until this day, because it's like in my mind I'm like, this is so gross. It's like I can't stand my own skin, and I feel like I have to apologize for it before somebody sees it. It's
How
like
crazy is that, hey?
it's like, and it's the weirdest thing, and
I can
it's
relate to that,
and I always used to like worry about even like falling in love and getting intimate and all of that. I was like, oh my gosh, what if he's grossed out and he like hates my skin? What am I gonna do? So I was like, okay, you know what? Some people have bigger problems. I never had acne on my face, like throughout high school. Like I always thought maybe that would never be my problem. So I was like, okay, maybe like it's just my back. I can cover that. Like I would look at the skin on my body. I'm like, you have nice skin on the rest of your body, but your back.
Why are you not obliging to what's happening?
Why are we not playing the same game? I was like, this back
is holding
me back in life. And I was like, yo, I can always wear a t-shirt. Cool. That's fine. In high school, like in primary school, like phys ed was part of the education, and so I was always in great shape, you know.
You do have a great body.
Aside from the fact that I used to starve half the time, because
That's
like,
another topic.
you only have 2 breaks and you have little lunch, which you probably finish at first break because you're so hungry by first break.
And then second break, you're like, oh man.
Yeah, second break.
Oh, man.
I'm like, why do they even have second break? Why can't it just be one break and then, you know?
Second break was to torture all the black kids because
really
you didn't have
was.
money for tuck shop.
I honestly feel like that's what it was. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So I always thought, so like in high school I kind of lost it, like.
Or if you're broke in general, even if you're a white person that's broke, it's there to torture you.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any money.
Tuck shop was a sin for kids because you don't earn anything. Like you have no money.
It was the devil.
You ask for 5 rand. What are you gonna do with 5 rand? It's a lot of money.
5 rand goes a long
Like,
way.
goes a long way. Like it got so bad that I used to chow my bus money for
Dog.
and eat that donut. Like I would go buy that donut, and then I would make my sister and I walk home. We used to like we did the dodgiest things. Like
Oh,
we were
man.
so bad, just to have some nice things. But anyhow, so I mean, we had phys ed, and after school we had sports and aftercare and all of that. And because we were also like children, we played a lot. High school, oh my gosh, I gained so much weight. Like in grade 8, and I went to a new school. It was mostly black kids, and black kids didn't do a lot of sports. They didn't swim, didn't really play hockey, and the sports I was really interested in, I was like, I really can't afford to go play cricket. I was like, it was a new thing for me. I was like, oh, I'd love to play cricket. I'd love
Wow,
to.
they had women's, like, girl cricket.
Yes, we had a girl
Jeez.
cricket
That is
team.
so advanced.
That didn't last long. I don't
Oh.
remember there being a cricket team by the time I matriculated.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, because we were a majority black school at that point, all the students were mostly black and all the teachers were mostly white. And there were a few white girls here and there. By matric time, we'd try to find girls for the gala team. Because now gala must still happen, doesn't matter if you're black.
What's gala?
Swimming gala.
Yeah.
Oh,
gala.
okay.
Swimming gala. So in my house, I was in the Hunt House, the Blue House. We didn't have enough white girls to swim, so we had to volunteer. And we hadn't done sports in years. We were so out of shape. So like in those years, I gained a lot of weight and I lost even more self-confidence. I got so big, bigger than I ever thought I'd be. Because, I mean, I was always known as the model of the family because I was so conscious about my weight. I always had been. Because I come from a big family as well, we're slightly overweight. And so I always thought I can't let myself get there. And I think I don't know, I lost the plot. I think for the first time in high school, I was getting 20 Rand for tuck shop money. I was like, this is amazing. And I think I lost it. And that's I was eating cake, chocolate, anything I could, everybody, because we could, this is stuff we couldn't eat often enough.
Yeah.
Like I put on like a lot of weight, and so I went through it. Like high school was a roller coaster weight-wise for me. Like I'd go through periods of really starving myself. Like I think I had a severe body dysmorphia that's taken me so long, I mean years after, to really overcome, because I like swore to myself I'd never get fat. I'd have my cousin who'd always taunt me and tell me I was so fat, and that used to traumatize me because I never wanted to hear that I'm fat, and that really hurt me. And because all the white people were always like so ironing board like, no bum, no hips, barely
Very
boobs,
boyish,
very
yeah.
boyish and we always thought that's what you're supposed to look like. That's the standard of beauty. Skinny was the new beauty. Like in black culture, it's okay for someone to call you fat, and because you're happy and you look good. And it's like, it was so offensive to us now, like, to me and some of my peers, because nobody, when somebody tells you you're so skinny, it's like such a huge compliment.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, you have a serious eating disorder.
Yeah.
You are so mentally ill. You actually need help. So,
Sure.
like, that's still a consistent struggle of mine, because it's like in my mind, I really can't let myself gain too much weight where somebody like calls me fat, because I think it's gonna take a while for us to unlearn these things, because it's almost like they've become our culture, and they became who we are and how we thought. So like my face was not even a problem, for a while. It was just my body and my back.
That's so interesting. Wow.
So acne literally just became a problem for me in my 20s, and it was a shock for me when I started to break out little by little. It started on my forehead.
Shoo.
I'd have like lesions like in this region and around my face, and my mom was shocked because she was like, why are you breaking out? And she was accusing me of eating sweets and not keeping a consistent and good diet. And I was like, Mom, I'm not eating sweets. I was like fighting with her, and I just couldn't understand, because my mom, I think she also put a lot of pressure on me, because it was like, I think my younger sister is way prettier than me. And literally in my mind, it's because she had the fairer features. See, she had the pointy nose, she had the fair eyes, and she had the light skin. And naturally, she was such a cute child. Like, if you go around my house and you just see cute pictures of my sister, and I don't know what happened to me, but like something took a turn in my childhood. I was such a weird-looking child. And so, like, my mom would always, pinch my nose and say, just don't go to bed without doing this. Just make sure. For real. Sorry, Mom.
Love you.
Love you so much. But I don't blame her because, being white, being in those days and the days where she grew up and being in the apartheid government, they went through the worst. Like, if you were light-skinned, okay, maybe you colored. But now we have to do the pencil test to qualify you as either a black or a colored person. So it was really serious. So I think for a lot of people, like, even in the townships, like, the lighter you are, the more beautiful you were.
It's very true.
And I hated that. I hated being put on a pedestal and nobody knew what I was suffering from internally. I had like severe insecurities, body-wise. I had like a severe body disorder, like dysmorphic disorder. I just really saw the worst in my skin, in my body, my shape, my height, everything. There was always just something wrong. So I think I really just had a really stressed time in my teenage years, and it was a build-up. It was a build-up of, there was a build-up of that stress, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fear of being rejected, like you said. So, like when my father left the family when we were very young, I didn't realize how that impacted me, how much that, like influenced me psychologically and like really made me feel like, okay, maybe we're not good enough to, for him to stick around. And I did feel rejected, and I think it was more subconsciously that impacted me. So I think I carried myself like I just didn't belong anywhere, and I needed to change myself in order to fit in different spaces and with different people, and maybe I was not dark enough, maybe I was not thin enough, maybe I was not tall enough, maybe I was not white enough. So I think I had a really, really stressful teenagehood, childhood.
And that's what made you then start to break out?
I believe so. So I was saying during the break that I read recently, because we think that acne, the causes of acne and skin disorders is mostly either hereditary, the food we eat, or just the stage, like being a teenage, hormone changes. But more recent medical research has shown that it also stems from a fear of, from a root of anxiety and fear of rejection, fear of not fitting in, and
So crazy.
it's really insane. And how your mental health has a lot to do with how sick you get as well in your body. Mental health, and not just what you put in your mouth and what you and what you drink and what you don't eat and what you do eat, impacts on your health. It's not just that. That's all important, but it all starts with your psyche, how you view yourself. Like if a person that loves their body wants to eat right, they want to feed their body the right things, and it really starts from being conscious and aware of yourself and loving yourself and accepting yourself first, and letting go of that fear of not being accepted, letting go of that fear of not being loved, of not being, taken in and appreciated. And it's got to start on the inside, and I think that's where I lost the plot. And I when I got to Joburg, I think I didn't fit in even more because I went to a fashion school, and a lot of the kids that went there were rich. Most of them had cars. They came from, their parents gave them everything. They had the latest fashion. They were wearing the brands, they just had it going on. And in that school, if you didn't have, you literally it set you back. I mean, it meant sometimes you didn't get your projects done, or your projects didn't look as great, and you didn't get as, a great mark, because, I mean, you can't afford to do all of that. You can't afford to drive to this place and get that. You can't afford to buy this fabric and achieve that. And that really took a toll, and I gained way more weight, because I was starting to eat junk. I was living on my own. I was like, I just don't really have time to cook. I don't want to do it. And for the first time in my life, I had some severe breakouts on my face. I had bad discoloration because I was light-skinned. But it was coming out in legions. Like, if I was trying to cure this one, another one would pop out in its place. And it was like a never-ending thing. And that, like, killed my self-esteem even more, because I was like, how do people even look at my face? Like, I don't even know how I'm around these people, how I'm carrying on, and how I'm able to look at somebody in the eye, because then you just don't want people to look at you, and you shy away. You want to go sit in the corner and just, like, not have anybody, like, really look at you or really engage with you. It was a really, really tricky time, and I couldn't afford the expensive face products. Cause, I remember I was like, okay, maybe I should start having, like, a face regimen, because, I mean, I never cared. Like, I'd never, like, wash my face twice a day. I would just, like, wash it, in the morning, and that's it. I'm done for the day, and I can just go straight to bed. But now it was like, oh my gosh, maybe, okay, I need to use specific face products, and let me try Clean and Clear. Let me try Garnier. Let me try Oxy. Okay, I never got to try Oxy. But I wanted to try everything. I mean, I tried as much as I could. I mean, I got advice from different people, and of course I couldn't afford to go to a dermatologist and ask a doctor. I was like, maybe if I go on contraceptives, because they seem to work for everybody else, Meanwhile, I had a severe chemical imbalance that was probably causing me for my body and my cells to break down. So in this book, this doctor explains how when you think negatively, certain chemicals get released into your body, and of course we pick up bacteria and things, during the day, because of the environment, people we come into contact with, and all of that. But it's all fine and well. You can't even get sick unless your immune system is compromised, and when those harmful chemicals from your thought life and from your brain waves get released into your body, they weaken your body cells and your body's defense and immune system. And those infections are able to permeate and go into those cells and corrupt your body and your system. And I believe what causes inflammation in our bodies when we get injured and everything is a hormone or chemical called histamine, which causes the inflammation and the redness, because the blood seeps through the vessels and kind of like it thins and it causes the redness, and so you suffer. So it's all coming from, like, a negative thought life, translating into harmful chemicals being released in our bodies, and ultimately our bodies reacting negatively. Our bodies kind of like attack itself, because of the way we view ourselves, and the way we think, and what we meditate on. And I didn't realize that that's what I was doing, and I mean, years later, I think this carried on from like 2010. I think that's when the acne really started to flare up, up until maybe 2015. And that's when I was starting at the job I'm working at right now. And I was integrated into the intern program. And my skin and the discoloration of my skin was just so far gone. I just I hadn't given up though. I was going to try everything. I tried tea tree oil. I tried every natural remedies. I started going back to gym. I was like, okay, they say if you sweat it out, it clears your skin. I was wearing makeup every day. I was like, I can't have people look at me like this. Makeup is my new friend. This is how people are gonna actually like see me. They need to always see me looking sharp and normal, like other kids. I think it was later on in that year when I was like, how long am I gonna keep this going? Will I ever recover from acne? Must I just give up and not care and just like wear makeup every day and cover my pain? Or can I actually just accept that my skin won't clear unless I actually stop putting on a facade and just stop putting on a mask and stop clogging my pores with foundation and all these things? I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm just going to stop doing all of this. I'm going to stop putting my skin through so much. I mean, in this whole period, I even got warts. Like, they were so gross. And when they came out like the pimples. And they were literally on my neck area. They were so gross. They looked pussy. They looked like pussy pimples. The things I used to put my skin through, like I bought this wart magic thing, but it did work a charm. I won't lie. Like, there's nothing. I have no more warts. I literally burnt my skin off. It was awful. I had like plasters and pigmentation and fresh acne, breakouts. It was just like an awful time. Like I went through a really weird patch and being overweight for a bit, and it was a very, very low time. I must have been about 19 and 20, 21. But I decided 2015 that, enough is enough. I'm going to actually start loving myself. I'm going to start accepting myself. I'm going to wear my acne out. It's fine. It's okay. If that's what it's going to take for my skin to clear, it's fine. I'll do it. I'll love myself. I'll be myself. People can see me for who I am. I mean, in all of that's when I even started growing my natural hair, because I was like, it is what it is, man. I just can't afford also to keep up with the whites who are the Joneses, who are the official Joneses. I can't afford it. I just don't have the money for it. And it doesn't make sense to me why I should spend so much trying to conform when I'm an individual, when I'm different, when I'm made perfect for my destiny. Everything about me is unique for a reason. It's okay. So psychologically, I started to get myself right. It's okay not to cover up. It's okay. What are you hiding? I still haven't overcome that from my back. And I think I just got used to being comfortable and just not wearing things that are strappy. And it's okay sometimes for me to actually walk around wearing something, showing my back a bit. And like I'm overcoming it just little by little. But I think the first breakthrough for the problems I had was to understand, first of all, you can overcome. So many people have gone through it and so many people have come out of it. And you might not find one specific product, but eventually it'll end. This does not go on forever. And you can just carry on with your life and make goals and pursue life and live it and love it. And it's okay. Whoever wants to be around you will be around you, and they'll appreciate and love you. And whoever's not meant to be around you doesn't need to be around you. It's okay. I think I was just like you, Bianca. At some point I was like, actually, I'm way too tired. I'm not even trying to fit in. I am so tired. Yeah. I'm okay. Yeah. I enjoy my company. I enjoy myself. I enjoy learning and reading, stuff on the internet, and just doing research about natural remedies and natural, solutions and I just wanted to be natural. I just wanted to be a child of the earth for a while.
Love that.
So when we come back from the break, I'd like Bianca to delve deep into her journey with acne. So see you guys soon. Awesome. Like I speak about the topic of acne because I'm struggling with it currently, and it only came like around 2015, but it became very worse I think around late last year, and now it's like it's gone out of control. So it's a conversation that's, you know, one of the conversations that are very close to my heart, because I don't like, I still am not, you know, secure enough to leave the house without makeup. I have to have makeup on before I leave. So kudos to you for getting to that place. And girls, like, I think maybe, you know, work your way to getting there as well, to a place where you can feel comfortable enough and secure enough to like leave the house, you know. I am not there yet. It's still like a, you know, a journey for me. And I felt like it was important for us to speak about this topic and how you felt in those moments when you were, you know, having acne. It's so important for the girls to know that, because we in society, and I was talking about this with Mamelo in the previous show, that we romanticize so many things. And I think we romanticize the idea of having beautiful skin. And, you know, that is the bar of being beautiful and the epitome of, you know, being an attractive woman. And those were the things that I was, you know, questioning, is that why is this flare up of acne making me think twice about who I am as a person, you know, and why is it making me feel less attractive, you know? Yeah, so Bianca, if you can take us through like your journey with acne, and, you know, how did it make you feel, and, you know, how did you work through that?
Well, I think, if I can remember correctly, the acne started in grade 7. And like the day that I realized was when we had to get our school pictures taken. And
I remember you told me about this stuff.
yeah, I had to tie my hair back, and like it was just all over here, but like so many like little dots, like little ants on my face. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this real? And like, I mean, like you're saying about like, you know, it's just like society, and it's all those pressures, but it's natural as well. And, you know, with everything else I was dealing with, now I was like, oh my gosh, now my skin's bad as well. It's like, geez, can I just have a break? So I remember, you know, when that happened, I was just like, shucks, like this is so, I just felt really embarrassed and so uncomfortable. But you know, like I smiled through it, like I was faking it hard. Like I'm actually gonna go look for that picture now, like when I get home. But it's just sad that, like, you know, I had to fake it, but I really did feel like crying on the inside. And from that time, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. It wasn't all over my face, it was just on my forehead, but it was like hectic. Like there was no covering that up, you know. So my hair was always in braids, so I'd like take my fringe and like clip it this way to sort of like
cover it.
But you can see it's like, girl, no, that's looking weird. Like it's not flowing. Come on, you know. So it was like a lot of that stuff, a lot of hiding. And I also did, like, I wore a little bit of makeup to school, even though we obviously weren't allowed to. But I would have to just like put some foundation over, because it was like white, and it was just really bad. And then when I try and pop them, then it's like they go black because of the scarring, and it's like, shucks, now I also have to cover that up. So it just became a mess. And it was pretty traumatizing. In grade 9, I got to the point where now everyone else at school was going on Rakuten. And I was like, I also need to go on Rakuten, Mom, like make a plan, you know. But it's like also so much pressure for your parents. And gosh, I love my parents so much, really, because I know I also put them through a lot because of my insecurities, and like, you know, trying to get them to sort of also keep up with these like white children's parents as well, who are able to pay for Rakuten. I mean, it's nothing, you know what I mean? But I think I did pressure them to like put me on Rakuten, because I was desperate. I was like, this acne has to go, like, you know. And I was on Rakuten, and I don't know if you guys have ever been on it, but it's the first 2 weeks is just insane. And that's, for the first time, that's where it came everywhere. My lips were so dry, they were cracking, like bleeding. It was really, really bad. And so that's what they said, cool, 2 weeks of that, it gets worse before it gets better. And it didn't really get like better like everyone else's results. And that also comes down to, I mean, hormones and stuff that you're speaking about, and everyone's different, you know. So I was like, shucks, like this is so frustrating, you know. My parents have spent all this money, and now I still have these bumps on my face. And I think I just reached a point where I sort of just let it go. But it was difficult because everyone in my family has great skin. Like, everyone's skin is like clear as day. And I'm just like, shucks, okay, like what's going on with me? Like, why am I also not like that? So even though in the back of my mind I was trying to tell myself, like, no, like it's nothing, it's fine, I will pass, like just eat this, exercise, drink water, nothing was really working. It was still very pressurizing because you'll go to like family lunch and there's everyone like not wearing makeup and their skin is glowing and it's like,
great,
I'm just like, also wanna, So, and that's also when I went through a time of like wearing a lot of makeup and my dad hated it. But I was like, he didn't understand like what I was saying, he was kind of like, no, but you're beautiful and like now when I look back, I'm like, shame, he was just trying to uplift me and just make me feel confident. But really it was so tough and we would fight a lot about it because he's like, no, I'm like banning you from using this makeup, and he would like chuck it out and I'll go and steal my mom's, and it was just like this whole thing, like it just felt like this never ending, like how am I gonna, it was so stressful. And I think just that stress and my cortisol levels going up was what was making it flare up, and all these other stresses of being a teenager. So okay, I got to a point where I was just like, well, this is it, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. And another thing is I also wasn't eating well. Like I was a child and I was also going through like, I could have eaten whatever I wanted to eat and nothing was going to happen. I wasn't going to gain weight. I wasn't going to, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't going to feel tired and everything was fine. Metabolism was like peaking. Everything was good. So I didn't really like take the time and effort to maybe try and change my diet and whatever else. But when I left school, like around 19, 20, I think that's when, like around that age, I think that's when things started changing. I don't know what happened, but my skin just calmed down completely. But also at the same time, I started looking after my skin more. I started actually following like a skin regime, like you were saying, like, washing my skin twice a day and like moisturizing, like trying to eat well. Because like when I left school, like the weight gain was also starting to happen. Like it wasn't drastic, but there was like things that I couldn't just eat anymore and like be fine, or like not work out or do anything or be active for a certain amount of time. Like shucks, like what's going on, like I could be like do nothing and I'm fine. And it was a lot of those changes as well. So I think for me what happened is just moving out of that stressful period of like high school and like just being able to be on my own and sort of break free and figure life out. I think when that stress was taken out, it helped me, and helped my skin. And then also just actually eating well. Like I started enjoying healthy food, which I never ever did. Like I could finish a large pizza from Debonair's like on my own and I'm still hungry. Like there was still space for more, like when I was young, like, and I got to a point where that wasn't like exciting for me. Like now even I'm like, like I do love pizza, but like the like how I feel and how my skin feels and how my body feels when I eat well, it's just so much more worth it for me. Like don't get me wrong, like I love like chicken licken and all that stuff. I love it, but just like if I eat too much of that stuff, my skin does start flaring up. I feel tired. I'm like groggy all the time. Like it just doesn't feel good. So yeah, the healthy eating helped. Drinking a lot of water as well helped. Also sleeping more. Like I never used to sleep because staying up so late trying to do projects and all this stuff, and like I played netball at the time as well, and I was in grade 11 playing with 21-year-olds and they're all in university and I had to play according to their schedule. So basically I was coming home at like midnight every night and still having to come back, like study or do an assignment and still wake up at 6 for like normal netball training at school. So it was a lot, and I wasn't sleeping. So I think now, like, getting the 8 hours in and also trying natural stuff as well, like that's helping me so much, like the turmeric and like avo and egg whites and coconut oil, coconut butter, all of that stuff, aloe vera, tea tree oil. It's really doing a lot for me. But I think it's important, like it's a holistic thing. It's not just like, skincare or eating right or sleep. It's everything all together, like exercising, like everything. Also mental state. It's like something that you need to practice every day until it just becomes instilled in you, you know, because it's not like, sometimes I really don't feel like doing my whole nighttime routine at night. I'm like, God, I'm so tired, but like, I'm just like, no, like, let me just do it, you know, it's part of the whole thing, you know, and then I'm going to sleep, wake up early, I can exercise, you know, all of those different things. So I think they all go hand in hand, and it's just something that the more you do, the easier it becomes. Yeah.
Awesome. So obviously it's a Friday, so people are having the best time of their lives outside. So if you're hearing screams, we're not killing anyone. People are having a joy. People are out there eating joy. That's very, very like great. If you can also help us with letting us know about your regime. What did you start doing in terms of your face and your skin, and you know, to make it bounce back into it being the way that it is? Because she's not wearing any makeup, guys, right now. Her skin is like
wearing some makeup.
like mascara is the makeup she's talking about, but there's no foundation, no nothing. She's just like silky smooth, glowing.
Okay, I am wearing a bit of blush. I don't want everyone to be fooled.
But like, there's no foundation.
There's no foundation, no concealer.
No concealer, no nothing.
Like, I seriously divorced foundation when you know, I was like, I'm not gonna cover up anything. Like, like, I so agree with everything that B just said. Like, I think, Linda, even with you and your current struggle, I think just putting the right practices and the most wholesome practices into play right now is a great place to start. And, you know, mentally, look at yourself and tell yourself, what are you most afraid of? You know, are you afraid of rejection? Is it people's opinion that affects you? Is it how people see you? Because I think the worst things that affect us the most are things that have nothing to do with us. And, you know, we put on other people's perceptions as our realities, and we add unnecessary pressure on how we view ourselves and how we feel we should be and perceive. And like you said, being a beautiful woman, what does that mean to you? Is it about the superficial, or is it about, you know, being a confident, brilliant Black woman? What is it about, you know? And for me, it really started with me really like, you know, defining that for myself, and knowing my identity and accepting that I am Black, and I'm so proud of it. And I think it's so beautiful to be Black. Doesn't matter what shade you come in, or, you know, what shape you come in, whether you have like a wide face, a fat nose, a flat one, a pointy one. Like, you're beautiful, you're Black, and you're beautiful, and it's okay to be unique and to be yourself. Your journey is different, and it's okay. It's okay. So holistically, I know I never used to drink water in high school. Like, I wasn't the healthiest of people, but I do realize now that I never got as unhealthy as I did post high school. And that's where, you know, I went through the most, skin wise, weight wise. But once I started gaining control, I was like, I want to eat right. I want to exercise. I want to try the good things. Let me see how that makes me feel. And so it comes with a lot of self-motivation. It comes with a lot of pushing yourself and setting goals for yourself, and setting a standard really for yourself, and not allowing anybody else to set that standard for you, and knowing who you want to be and how you want to treat yourself. And like I told myself when I was trying to lose weight, like, you know what, you might never be, you know, a certain size, but you need to be the best shape that you can be. You need to be the best possible you. And be happy when you get there. Know that you can maintain it, and know that you did it by yourself, and know that you're beautiful when you do get there. I might never be a size 28. That's not my structure. If I'm a size 32, then I'm happy. I'm fine. I believe I'm beautiful, you know. You know, like, if I think about my ancestors, you know, my Chinese people, you know, they built that way, not that way. You know, just embrace who you are. Embrace where you are. Go through it, and know that you can encourage somebody else. Your journey is not in vain. You will come out on the other side victorious. Yeah, for me, like, for my skin, I think
where did it start for you? Like, what did you first do that you saw started working, But if we can please get into that, like just the idea of, I just wanted to find out, like, where did you see when you started doing this to your skin, it started working and responding in a good way, and what did you then carry on doing as a regimen? Is that how you say it?
Regimen, yeah.
As a regimen, carrying on after that. See you guys in a couple of seconds. Welcome back. So just for those that are watching and they just like, what is it that you started doing to your skin that you saw, gave you the results, and then you carried on doing, and what then did you end up doing in terms of your regimen? Thank you very much.
So once I got a stable job, I always felt like, okay, you know what, let me just try a really good product. Let me have a 3-step regimen, and let me be consistent, and let me do it properly, and let me see if I can see a difference. So I think when I stopped wearing makeup, I started a new job, I was like, okay, I'm going to buy myself Clinique products. You know, my mom was always recommended I either try Olay or, she's always like called the names. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me just try that and see if it makes a difference. And I'm not sure if that exactly started doing the trick, but my skin started responding to consistency, a consistent skin regimen. I also learned a few years later, because you always think, like, you need to scrub, the skin, the dead skin off and get that ugly dirt, and I found aggravated the acne, so over scrubbing and putting your skin through hell, that actually aggravates the acne. So I found that being gentle with my skin as well, and how I actually apply my liquid cleanser, it made a difference. So the more gentler and the more I treated my skin with love, it started responding slowly but surely. But I wasn't just using a 3-step regimen of a specific product. I was also trying to incorporate some natural products like tea tree oil. Like, sometimes I just like use that to tone with. Just take a cotton pad and dampen it with some water and put a drop or two of tea tree oil and just like use it as a toner on your skin, and that really helps with the inflammation, helps open the pores and helps your skin to breathe, and it's an antibacterial as well. I really went crazy with the natural stuff as well, because eventually I was like, this is a little bit expensive, not everybody can afford this. So I really started using stuff like bentonite clay as well. I felt like that really treated me well. It's a little powder, I don't even know how to describe the color of the powder, but you can buy it even from Discam, from the Nature's Choice range. And just mix it with water. It's known as a good detoxifier. Like, I even use it to wash my hair because it's such a great cleanser, and it helps with your pH balance as well. A little bit of apple cider vinegar. Drink that as well. Put a teaspoon in your water. It helps with detoxifying your body, because a lot of the toxins in our bodies also like find their way out of our skin, and what you put in is what you get out of your body. So for me, it's like, if you can eat it, sometimes it's great, because you can also put it on your body. You can use it. It's safe to use. Like, they always I read somewhere, if you can't pronounce it, maybe don't really use it. Maybe it's a bit dangerous for you, because some medical people don't even know how to pronounce those big names that they put together in laboratories, and they test some on animals. Some of them they don't even test on humans, and you just don't even know if it's gonna work for you. You just don't know if something is gonna work for you. It's just being consistent, putting good practices in, treating yourself well. For me, I feel like the more natural the products, the better. Even with what you eat, there's a herbalist that I like to follow, and he encourages a vegetable-based diet. I'm not saying everybody must stop eating a plant-based diet, and his reasoning for it made so much sense to me. I still eat meat, but I did cut out meat for a short while, and my body responded amazingly, because his theory was that your body responds to food that it has a chemical affinity to. What are our bodies made out of? Carbon. We're mostly carbon. We are carbon-based beings. Even our brains, they work, via electrical currents. It's copper and signals through our bodies. How our body and our brain communicate is through electric currents. So your body really responds to what it's chemically what it has a chemical affinity to. So eating green, ingest as much green as possible. Try and eat natural. It's not a myth. Living a wholesome life and living a clean life is just so good, and it contributes towards everything. You benefit weight-wise, skin-wise, hair-wise. If you want your hair to grow, eat right, drink water. I mean, our bodies are 74% water. Think about these things. Like, if your body is carbon-based, should you not be taking in more carbon-based food? If your body is 75% water, shouldn't you not be hydrating yourself with H2O? Your body just needs a replenishment of these good minerals and substances sometimes, and a lack thereof, your body carries too much toxins, stress hormones, it attacks itself. You have all these things going on, you're so confused, you're chemically imbalanced. It's just not a good base to start from. You just gotta start loving yourself also in things that you do. It's sometimes easier said than done to say, it's easy to say I love myself, but then the way you treat yourself and the way you carry on in your lifestyle doesn't indicate so.
Yeah, it's also easier said than done. To also say eat healthy, because then it's difficult to maintain that because it's expensive. Like, a lot of people cannot afford to eat healthy. A lot of people.
Yeah, when she's done, can I also say
Yes, I'm coming there. It becomes difficult for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people feel like if they're gonna go to Kauai or if they're gonna go buy lettuce or buy whatever, as opposed to quickly go get McDonald's, quickly go get this or get that. That is probably unhealthy, but could actually be a quick fix for them, but in an affordable way.
Okay, so you said quick fix, right? All these quick fixes add up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there was 1 month, it's usually in December anyways, and I'm just like, and you look at how much I'll spend on fast food, because it's like, I'm so hungry, but it's like, okay, there's a McDonald's, there's a KFC, and it's quick, and then you're satisfied, but your bank account suffers even more at the end. And I'm like, shuck. So what I do to help me with that whole thing, because yes, in some cases you can say eating healthy is expensive, but it's also like where you're going to eat. Like you mentioned Kauai. If you're to have Kauai for breakfast, lunch and dinner, it's going to be expensive. But if you're going to have a smoothie here and there, it's fine. So what I do is I buy my stuff in bulk, like grains and, first of all, this is generic advice, because some people eat for their blood type, some people are eating a certain way because they're first trying to lose some fat, some people are trying to gain muscle, so everyone's diet is different. So what I would suggest is just doing a lot of research. First figuring out, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to get better skin? Are you trying to feel less fatigued? Are you trying to lose weight? You're trying to, first figure that out. And then if you can, go and see a nutritionist.
I went to one actually.
If you can afford it, that's the best thing to do. And they'll help you. They'll either help you eat for your blood type or whatever. They'll help you with that stuff. If you can't, just research, And like you're saying about following people, I mean, I follow a lot of people on Instagram, overseas, especially in Australia, and they give so many tips on just how to eat well, but that's not going to be too expensive. So I buy a lot of my things. My diet is a lot of healthy carbs, so it will be brown rice, wild rice, sweet potatoes, low GI bread, all of that stuff. Eating carbs, guys, you can eat carbs. I mean, that's a story that can go on forever, where people feel like, oh no, no, but it's no, you can eat carbs. You just need to know what type of carbs you can eat, or like what should be moderated. You know, there's carbs in apples, so are you saying that you don't eat fruits? You know what I mean? So it's also just like educating yourself in those departments. So I buy in bulk. I buy my grains in bulk, and then what I'll do is I'll buy my greens weekly. So, you know, I'll get lettuce, because you can't do that in bulk. It's gonna go off. Lettuce, fruits, all of that. It is also like season dependent, like fruits and stuff. Like right now there's no berries anywhere, and personally, like, I'm dying because I love like my smoothie bowls and all of that, but it's now I'm sort of figuring out how to make more like green juices and smoothies with vegetables in it that still taste good as well. But my point is, like, if you plan ahead, and it's something that I'm learning a lot with adulting. Oh my gosh, guys, sometimes I'm like, I just want to be a child again. Like, I'm so over this. But like, things will, like, healthy food will seem expensive if you're going to a restaurant and ordering a massive chicken salad every day. It will, like, it does add up, and vice versa as well. If you're eating fast food all the time, it's great for that moment, but first of all, you're messing up your health. Second of all, you're messing up your bank account. Like, it's just this never-ending cycle. So my advice would really be to plan ahead. Well, first figure out what you're trying to achieve, then plan ahead and sort of shop accordingly. And then also, you also need to have a bit of discipline. You know, that's something I've had to really instill. Yeah, because I love food. Anyone that knows me knows, like, I really love food, and I've had to instill, like, okay, moderation, portion control, like all of that stuff as well. Like, if I'm eating massive portions, of course the food's going to go quickly and I'm going to have to replace it even faster. So it's just like planning things out. Like, I don't meal prep or anything like that. It's too much for me. I've tried it, doesn't work. But I do sort of give myself like a flexible menu for the week where I'll what I say is, like, I try to eat the colors of the rainbow. So the more colorful my plate is, the more nutrients I'm getting, all of those different things. But I also am realistic, and I will give myself time to, like, go out for dinner with a friend, and I also, like, budget accordingly. You know, this is like a whole like budget chat now, but really, like, it just goes back to the whole thing of, like, healthy food is expensive. For me it isn't, but that's because, like, I've learned how to budget all those different things, eat accordingly, you know, and it does take a lot of discipline. I mean, it's not easy, but and consistency.
Like a lot of
it really, really does. But for me, like, when my body starts reacting well, like, I have irritable bowel syndrome. Sorry guys, like, I had to share that. But really, like, eating probiotics,
They told me, and my nutritionist actually put me on probiotics.
Awesome. And like apple cider vinegar, that's, yes, you know, if you can't obviously afford to buy over the counter, you know, those things are just, it's really, really important. Like, because when you start feeling those results of, like, okay, my body feels better, my tummy's not as sore, I'm not as tired, like, I have more energy, like, because people talk about it and it just seems like this, oh yeah, you're fatigued. And I really, really was feeling so run down. I was getting sick all the time. Naturally, I'm a sickly person. There's always something wrong with me. But when I wasn't eating well, it was heightened. Like, I was always like, I always had flu. Like, the other month I got flu twice in 1 month, you know. It's just like, and that's also because my diet was poor that month, and I can be honest about that, you know. But once you start seeing those results, then you're able to still keep going and be like, no, yes, I'm going to rather choose to eat like this over eating like that, you know. The everything in the long run, it's really so much more worth it, you know, than that quick fix that, you know, like that sugar like high that you get and then you crash immediately afterwards. It's not sustainable at all, you know. And it also comes down to what you were saying about wanting to just like, it's like self-love, you know. Like, if you look at my Instagram, I have a highlight reel called self-love, and I put like my green juices on the highlight reel, and it's like, if you'll only understand that if you're also going through that thing of, like, you'll understand why that's self-love, because it's looking after yourself, which is self-love, you know. So it also starts there mentally. Where are you trying to get to? What are you trying to achieve? You know, it's not only about, oh, I'm trying to lose weight and be scared. Like, no, it's not about that. For me, it's the holistic thing that I was speaking about earlier.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I mean, I moved to town like a year ago, and there's the markets, and even back home there's always the street markets where they sell the fresh vegetables, and people grow stuff in their gardens, and they go to town and they sell them, and those are the cheapest vegetables and the freshest you'll find. I was never too proud to go to the streets. A bag of carrots maybe at a supermarket is like 12 rand. On the street, it's 6 rand. So you're spending half the money, and you're eating just as healthy, and you're getting all the vegetables and all the fruits that you'll possibly get for way more at a supermarket. And mall, they've got rent to pay. So I don't think there's no options for you if you want to try and eat healthier. It's about the discipline, of course, as well. And I also found for myself that, I have to try and work on a menu on a weekly basis. And because, just the thought of meal prepping traumatized me. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, it is.
It's not for me. For those that are way more disciplined and want to try and do that, by all means, find what works for you. I so agree with what B said. Find what works for you and just implement that in your life and stick to it and be consistent. And that's the only way you're really going to start to see a change. And also, you know what? Even if maybe eating badly may be cheaper for some people, it's so expensive to be sick because of what you put in your mouth. People are dying from diseases because of what they eat. More people are dying from cancer than they are dying from other viruses and diseases. It's so expensive to eat badly as well. It's not okay. So sometimes you just want to take a little bit extra care for yourself and just pay a little bit more just to keep a healthy, consistent lifestyle.
I think first things first, you guys need to visit a nutritionalist because
Nutritionist.
things are bad with my English today, guys. Hadis. You need to visit a nutritionist.
Nutritionist.
That's who you need to visit. I visited one, not this week. I visited one, I think, about 2 weeks ago. So helpful already. I could feel my skin clearing. I did the blood tests and he told me that there was a bit of inconsistency with my liver, with my bowel movements, and he said the reason why my liver was reacting is because my bowel movements were inconsistent. So then he put me on a probiotic and on natural remedies, which then helped so much with my skin. It's cleared out more than you can imagine. Yes, and it really helps. It's a great starting base as well. I loved what Bianca said in terms of having to find the purpose behind of what do you want to accomplish in terms of your body. So do you want to look at great skin, or do you want to look into getting a better physique, feeling better, waking up better? So I think that drawing the line and knowing specifically, being very specific with knowing and identifying what do you want to fix, what problem do you want to fix. Visit a nutritionalist with that problem, and you will know the starting base as to how to then carry on with it, what to eat. He will give you what to eat. Your body needs more of this. It needs less of this. There's too much protein, maybe lessen your protein. So he'll be able to direct you better in terms of that. So guys, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your hearts. Thank you so much for speaking so much wisdom and knowledge, and especially from your journeys, and being very candid about that. I feel like we're not having enough of these kinds of conversations, and I loved that you were able to spark some sort of something for another person to want to look more into knowing how to treat themselves better, and knowing that it's okay to go through the journey. It's okay to sometimes not be okay. It's okay that you are dealing with so many things of mental health, and dealing with so many things of, social ideas, I loved that you guys were able to touch on those kinds of topics as well. Yes, so I just want to wrap it up by saying the reason why we're wearing black is because we are standing in remembrance of Mama Winnie Mandela. To remind you again, Mama, as you are resting in strength, you didn't die, you multiplied. And we are here because of you. Our ability to be able to speak, our ability, I know you spoke about, as a black woman, you felt stifled and you felt like you didn't have a voice. You felt like you couldn't question, you couldn't say anything. And Mama, fought for that, fought for black woman to be, a young black woman to be able to question. I also never knew how to question a person. Yes. I never even thought that is a thing that you could do. Yeah. And for the longest time when I did question, I would feel so bad. I would feel like I've done something so bad. And, she fought for us us to feel comfortable in questioning. She fought for us to feel comfortable in standing up for what we believe is right and is true and what we're passionate about as women. So thank you for that, Mama Winnie, as you're resting in strength. We love you and you will forever be missed. And we hope that we make you proud. Do we have time for any last words? Abuti Clive? Abuti Clive, please also come in front of the camera so people can see that you're wearing black on black.
Black on black.
I'm sure that the camera can handle itself there. So guys, here is Clive, the guy that is always behind the camera out there in the streets. Here he is. Finally, you can see the face to the name. Are we able to do any last words before we go? So do you have anything that you'd like to say to the younger you, to the you that was, going through your phases with skin and having to come to a woman with so much rich knowledge about self-love, health, and, healthy skin and just who you are as a model as well? Because Bianca is a great model. Also,
Stop
very, very
it, girl.
wow, very, very amazing. So if you can just double into saying that and also end off with your handles where people can find you.
Okay, so to anyone listening who this may resonate with, I think it's just really important to not be afraid to speak about things like mental health. Like, it is happening slowly where the conversation is there more, but it's still not there enough. And
100%.
I just feel like
100%.
there's nothing to be ashamed about. Like, I'm an open book, like in some ways I can seem closed off, but trust me, if we like on the same page with a topic, I don't find it like weak sharing my struggles or like bad things that I've been through, because I always wish that there was someone that was open and talking about these things when I felt alone, when I felt weird, when I felt ugly, when I was crying, like you can speak to your parents about these things, but they're your parents. They have to be like, it's gonna be okay.
There's something about a young woman talking about it.
Because
so
someone that
openly,
there was no one I could relate to and be like, shucks, like wow, like thank you so much. You've just given me that push that I needed to go on and to feel like there is hope and to be like, oh, okay, this is normal.
And for people to know that it's an ongoing struggle. Like so many people, it's like we've said in society, there is a bar that you need to reach, and at the end of that bar there will no longer be struggle, but to recognize that you are every single day making a conscious decision.
So basically that's it. I've shared everything else about skin tone, skin health, all of that, but for me the biggest thing, and like what I've also realized coming to the end of this conversation, is the mental health part of everything, because 100%. It's something that I struggle with. Like, I can be honest about that. It is something that I struggle with, and it's something that every day I have to wake up, look at myself and be like, you can do this. Like, you've got this day. Like, just don't compare yourself to other people. Like, you have to keep motivating yourself. And, like you're saying about we set this bar and then we reach the bar and we think that everything's going to be okay afterwards, or it's just something that you have to keep doing because it's ongoing. So to anyone listening who may be going through something or who feels alone, like, you're not alone, and if you do want to follow me on Instagram, I always reply to everyone and I'm open to those things. I have to say my handle. My handle is my name and surname @Bianca Koyabe. And if there's anything that you want to talk about, or anything that you're feeling insecure about, or if you're feeling alone, or if you just need a bit of love, like, really, I'm there, and I mean that. The main reason that I say that is because really I wish that I had someone to help me get through. I think like I get my strength, I feel, from my mom. She's extremely, extremely strong.
What an amazing woman.
So strong. And I feel like if I didn't have that strength, like, I don't know if I would be here today, because I didn't have anyone to help me through this. I don't know how I got to this point where I can like speak about these things openly and like, have a conversation about it. But it's just important to have people, like a support system as well. And if I can be a virtual support system, like, then I will be, But yeah, I just feel like it's a cliche, but like, you can achieve whatever you want. Like if you set your mind to something, really you can get there. You just need to block out like any negative and just like bad things, that because people are always going to say bad things. You have to just block it out. It's just a part of life. It is what it is. Not everyone's going to support you or like agree with you or even understand you, and I'm okay with that. I used to be so like, wow, like why doesn't this person like me? Like I didn't do anything to them, but it's just life. You're not going to like be on common grounds with everyone.
100%.
So, you know, stay in your own lane and like focus on your own journey and your own growth, and you will get there.
And if there's no lane that you can recognize with, create your own lane.
Exactly.
And run
Exactly.
Yeah, Bianca, that was great. I mean, for me, I think what I want to say to the ladies, I think just first and foremost, connect with yourself. Connect with your own destiny. Connect with your own purpose. You're unique. No one is like you. No one is made for your path. No one is made for your purpose. So you got to have conversations with yourself and come to understand why you are and what you want to achieve in this lifetime. And inform your own bars. Create your own bars. Create your own lane. Don't let anybody else tell you what that's supposed to be for you. And like I said, because you are your own person, you are unique, you have your own purpose, you have your own destiny. And how you get there, it's not going to be like anybody else. I'm really, in the recent years, I haven't been huge on social media because of how, you know, the bars on social media were just like not realistic for me. I'm like, I can't afford to live that life. And it's okay. I really just do not subscribe. But I think, you know, the handles and the pages that have resonated with me are people that just do their own thing. Like, I've always been like, for weirdom. Like, if you are so different and just like, and no one is like you and people are looking at you like with side eyes, I'm like, I wanna walk with you. You're my person. So I think create your own standards, create your own norm, and be comfortable with that. Like, there came a time where I was like, I don't want to look like everybody else because that's going to make me compare myself to those people. I don't want to subscribe to the latest trends because it's going to make me want to compare and see if I can afford to look as good as the sharpest person. So do what makes you happy. I mean, I think the thrifting trend really made my life because I was like, I don't have to go to the brands to look sharp. I so love wearing my 5 rand pants, and I love people asking me, where in the world did you get those? And I love that I'm the only one who has them. So do your own thing, walk your own walk, be your own person, you know, be your own love story. And just, like you said, Linda, like, it's okay to go through, you know, stuff. Life is a journey. There's ups, there's downs. And we were saying before we started shooting, and we were having a conversation about how nothing in life comes easy. You have to work at it. You know, there's always going to be challenges. You can't run away from them. You just have to face them. And if it's your test, overcome. You can, because those tests were made for you. Like a test in school, they teach you, they groom you, they build up your confidence so that you can actually pass those tests. Like, it can be done. You are not, the test is not above you, and you're not beneath your test. You're made to soar. You're made to pass. So, yeah.
And where can people find you?
So on my Instagram, my handle is @Sbongile, spelled SBOSHLES, and my Facebook is Sbongile Mkyobo. Mkyobo spelled MTYOBO.
Sbongile is amazing. Her hair is like up to her bums. Can I just say? And that's her natural hair. Okay. And she does natural things for her hair as well. So if ever you want to buy anything natural, like a sheer butters and any creams and washes, the clay masks for her hair that she was speaking about, she actually, in fact, has a company of her own that she does that. So if you're ever in need of even knowing how to naturally take care of yourself, contact them both, and they should be able to help you in that regard. Anyways, thank you so much for your time, guys. We really appreciate that you took some time to watch this conversation. It was such a pivotal one, I think. And it's it's the last of our season, and I think we've ended on such a great note in having this conversation. So guys, see you the next time in the next season, and we hope that you've enjoyed conversations with my big sister. And where you can find me is on Instagram. My handle is _letter L, or you can just type out the letter L and you can find me. And my name on Facebook is Linda Sefumba, and on Twitter it's also at the _letter L. So yeah, so I'll see you guys soon. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you want to subscribe. Yeah, and we'll see wherever you're seeing it. Just subscribe there on that page. You might also see it on Cooler Box Production. Subscribe there, babes. If you're seeing it on there, subscribe. Just subscribe wherever you're seeing the show. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your life. Goodbye.